So welcome to Entrepreneurs and Leaders. And today we have Marcy, which is a speaker and an author. So Marcy, tell us, what are the 5 steps how we choose to show up?
Welcome to Entrepreneurs Are Leaders podcast with Harry Sardinas. Interviews with world's most influential entrepreneurs that share tips about how to grow your business exponentially. Charismatic speaking, leadership, branding, marketing strategies designed to help you monetize your knowledge, find true happiness, and manifest your goals and dreams.
Well, if it's okay, Harry, I'd like to just get into just a bit of my background and, why you agreed to have me on your show that has, over 300,000 listeners and followers. Harry, so this is my second book, How We Choose to Show Up. It's an Amazon bestseller. I've given 2 TED Talks about this topic and go around speaking, writing, and also doing a ton of research about this because there's 20 years of research that goes into the model of how human beings are designed to show up so that we thrive. So instead of just jumping into the solution or like what people should do, I think it's really important that people understand what is showing up. Like, what does it truly mean? Is it okay if we start there, Harry?
We can cover that later. And because we have, so we're gonna ideally we first set the 5 steps and then we extend the 5 steps. So our audience can have the blueprint first.
Yes, and it's interesting to me that there's 5. I think somehow more than 3 is very hard for people to juggle. And if you speak to Marshall Goldsmith, probably the #1 coach on the planet who's coached, the dignitaries and presidents and prime ministers, et cetera, he says, I used to tell people choose 3 things. And then he paused and he said, now I know I tell people choose 1 thing. Anyway, I will give people my recommendations up front. I'm going to stop short of 5. I think it's too many. Anyway, the very first thing, that's the most important thing for us to do with our precious and fleeting moments is to choose how we are showing up to them. Because when we choose how we're showing up to them, we're literally choosing how the world and how others are showing up to us. So does someone look at us and think, wow, I really feel I can trust this person? Does someone just sit with us and notice, I'm feeling heard? Or are they feeling like, gee, I'm just an object to this person? Maybe they think, my team could really use some help with something, and I'm getting a really good vibe from Harry right now. Maybe I mentioned to him that my team needs help with something. So when you choose how you're showing up, you change your entire life. Let me explain what it means to choose how you're showing up. So we exist in 3 roles at every moment. This is one of the key secrets of showing up that no one seems to know. I mean, it's on the cover of the puzzle box, but everyone's dealing with just the pieces of the puzzle and we don't see the box. So I explain what this is. We're in 3 roles. We always have been, and so is everything else. So think back to when we existed in a cave, Harry, as indigenous peoples, and maybe we're wearing some version of animal fur. We were still, even then, individuals within a situation, within a cave. Maybe it's hot, maybe it's cold, maybe there's water, maybe there isn't, maybe there are nuts on the ground, right? So there's a situation that we are a member of. That's our second role. And then there's something else going on. There's something outside. There's something over there. There's something with our tribe. So there's some kind of societal aspect that we are a member of. So we are individuals, that's #1, selves. Members of a situation, that's 2, and members of society. We're in all 3 roles. And when you recognize what each of them means, we're impacting the world at every moment. Our point of contact of doing so is the situation. I have a chapter on each that explains how this works and how powerful we are. So the first thing I want you to do is recognize how you're showing up and make a choice. Because there are 3 levels. There's a default level in the middle where you're just showing up. There's being barely there where you're just kind of checked out, but you're sitting there and like maybe you're even part of the discussion, but you don't feel the meaning of what's going on. That's level one, right? Just getting up, getting off the couch, walking in, that's just showing up level two. And then there's truly showing up. And what I'm talking about is level three, truly showing up. And what this means is that we recognize the impact that we have. We do so in our body, and I'd be happy to explain that more. So choose. There's a belief system behind this. So think about and recognize what the beliefs are. If there's only one manager role that's available, and next month is the decision that's going to be made, and there's, Joe and Jane, and only one of them is going to get it. So you're competing with each other. That's a belief that our society might have taught many of us, or we need money to feel successful. What I want people to do is really look at that and say, is that my truth? Because chances are it's not. Society has taught us so many lies by now. What truly is health? Do you have to look fit? Or can you just kind of be healthy in your own skin and feel like you're on the right path and you're good and you can put your effort into other things, right? Or you can define success by having time to do what you want as opposed to more money in the bank and a fancy car. So interrogate what society is teaching us. The third thing I want people to do is kind of a much more tactical, physical thing, and it's immensely powerful. When you wake up, just stop right there. Just be there with your first moments of consciousness of the day. And what you'll find yourself doing probably is taking a notable inhale, and then all of a sudden new things will show up for you because you will have shifted how you're attending from our left hemispheric attention system to our right hemispheric attention system. These are extremely different ways of living each moment. And Harry, I want to get into this more. But I'm thinking, so wait, those were three main things to do. I'm going to stop there. So it's choose how you show up. And to make that real, you really got to understand what showing up is. The second thing was interrogate your beliefs, because if you can change your behavior and your habits in an instant if you get at the root cause, which is what's the belief that's driving me to do this thing, right? To snack at night, to whatever it may be, right? To mistreat someone who's meaningful to us just because they trigger me and drive me nuts, be it a partner, be it a teenage child. I always mention that because I have two teenagers and it can be hard, right? And then that third thing is when you wake, pause, and you will be astounded with what happens. So I'm going to pause here. There are a number of places that we can take this. Harry, where would you like to go with this next?
My next question would be this one. Why are you so passionate about this topic? What was your journey that led you to write this book in the first place?
Yeah, that's a very important question, because what leads anyone like me to be able to live my life pursuing a calling, right? This is the same path that can lead anybody, right, to pursue their calling. So, and the short answer in one word is struggle. So at age 6, my family moved, my whole environment changed. My parents got very busy with their new careers. And little Marcy at age 6 was kind of left without the attention that I needed. So my version of acting out was more acting in. I started to stutter. And in my inability to speak was what felt to me at that time just existential struggle. All the kids around me could just chat and blather and do what the kids do. And I would go, and either nothing would come out or sounds would come out. And it was humiliating and it was debilitating. And I would literally feel what felt like shots of lightning from my core go straight through my skull and go into the sky. And I had an awareness of how extreme it felt. I would feel my brain crackle. And it went on for years and years and years. But in that struggle, and this is the source of why we're all wired the way we are, right? It's the extreme and sustained challenges that we go through that literally it wires our brain, it wires our body, it creates the movement and the motion such that our musculature now supports those patterns forever, right? So the patterns it led to for me is stepping back and observing, what's everyone else doing? And they were throwing their show up choices away. Some kids were bullies. Some kids were scaredy cats. Some kids couldn't quite navigate what was going on. The educators around were just taking a break and not being helpful in my mind, right? Through my eyes at age 6, 7, 8, through 12, through 15. So I started to be this endless and avid disciple of showing up, and that's it. And then from there, it really became more focused. At age 12, I was, sent to a rehabilitation hospital, supposedly to learn how to speak, but really it was just sitting me and 8 other teens, in front of a machine. And, when a light went on and the red light flashed, it meant we were doing this process with our voice correctly. It was totally useless. And I did it with such discipline, berating myself the whole time, but also watching elders who were also at the rehabilitation hospital, learning to speak again, learning to walk again, learning to hold a fork again. And they struggled. And it was very clear to me that even with well-made plans and experts by their side, showing up the way they wanted was a real struggle. And I said to myself, where's the blueprint? Where's the roadmap? There was none. And that's what planted the seed about, I'm going to find this. So, years of studying neuroscience and psychology and philosophy and observing and doing my own global studies of how people show up. That's the path. And that's why I do what I do.
I think that we always can reinvent ourselves, and there is way that our unconscious mind react that, because even if you're conscious that you don't want to stutter or you don't want to do that, even if you're conscious of that, you're still doing it, because the unconscious mind is what drives behavior, not the conscious mind. And now go deep and reprogram or rebuild whatever we have there in the unconscious mind that has created that effect. It's something it's something difficult. Some people don't even know that is there what is like the solution. And look, I think that sometimes we say that the worst day of our life could be the best day of our life.
That's right.
Because probably the most luckiest thing that happened to you. I'll train to our thousands and thousands of people how to overcome the fear of public speaking. We have reached over 1 million in COVID, and I'm aware that the fear of public speaking is the biggest fear a human being can have, right? And whether you stutter or not, and the reason, look where the reason coming from. The reason is coming from very simple. When you are 3 to 5 years old, that you go out, like we all kids go out, say hello to strangers, and then your parent come and say, hey, don't talk to strangers. That's it. That incident will get stored in our unconscious mind in a way that we are making it mean that talking to strangers is dangerous. Talking to strangers is bad. And after, you have to show up, like your book reflects, in business, in society, in your relationship, at work. You have to show up everywhere. And now, in order for you to show up effectively, you have to talk to strangers. And now there is everyone in fear, facing this immense fear, and nobody knows where is it coming from. So people decide to think that it's only their problem, that it's only them. and then they hire more and they hire more, and then they start to show up in a different way, and all this get reflected everywhere, in the bank account, in the relationship, everywhere it goes. So how you solve it, how you solve this is an incident. Some people have embedded so back and deep in the in that unconscious mind that people don't even know that is there. And some people have different experience, because the other thing is that it's not about, I'm 100% sure that your parents love you. They're doing the best, they didn't know any better. And one thing is what actually happens. And the other thing is the story that we make about what happens, that goes in our brain. Which keep growing and growing and growing, and you see people there, they don't stop with parents and families for years, and when you ask them, they don't even remember what they stopped to talk about. They don't even remember the reason why, right? So in the end of the day, it's exactly, so I'm glad that you have done this work of self-discovering, and to realize and to have the courage to say, okay, you know what? I have a problem. Yeah. Take a lot of courage to see that there is something wrong with you. Are you going to work on yourself to make it better? It's easy to blame others. It's easy to blame society, your parents. It's easy to blame everyone. You could be a starter right now and could be unhappy and could be very full of hate. And when I ask you, Marcy, what happened? Why you started? What you doing the stuttering? Nothing wrong with the stuttering. I train a speaker with the stuttering. Actually, one of them with cerebral palsy won a motivation speaking contest, and he has cerebral palsy. So literally, he need to speak letter by letter. And I trained that person, and we do motivation speaking contest, and he was one of the winners. So nothing wrong with the stutter, nothing wrong with the cerebral palsy. Is exactly how you show, how you say your story. But what I'm saying is that the most powerful thing is for us to say, take a lot of courage to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to work on myself, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to break that barrier, and I'm going to take responsibility for it. And you know what? Something that you're doing even better. Now you're helping us. You see, a lot of entrepreneurs that we interview in our series of podcasts, most of the business started by them solving a problem for themselves, and after the problem for themselves got solved, then went out and help other people. So now, when you took that decision that you're gonna stop blaming everyone and you're gonna go for it, and try to work on that, because you didn't even know if you're gonna solve it, if you're not gonna solve it, it requires a high level of expertise. I can tell you, because I'm an expert on the topic. A high level of expertise to change that pattern coming from something embedded in the unconscious mind. So how you took that decision? What was the process? And where do you find the courage to do that? And how you encourage your client to have the courage as well, because you have to be brave. The easiest way is to blame everybody else and be unhappy and live a miserable life. This is very easy. You don't have to do any work. You just blame everybody. You live miserable. You blame everybody for what you have done. That's very easy. The hard thing is what you did. So tell us, where do you find the courage?
Wow, this is fascinating, because the frame that you're putting on the evolution of from, I guess, problem through solution, it's totally different than what I perceive to be a more successful path. So it's how you relate to the experience. I didn't relate to it as something to solve. I related to it as an experience that was part of me. And when you stop kind of pushing against something, you're free. So there was acceptance. And with acceptance, you can own the experience, that reality differently. Be it how you relate to a health issue, with pain, with another person. It is there. And this is a big part of showing up. Because on
100%. 100%. The fact that
So
you were doing
we're
this, that doesn't mean that you know enough. It just
So we're on this continuum at every moment. And so is everybody else. And so is everything. So is racial justice and anti-Semitism and all the biases. And whether that tree out there that's frozen in the yard falls down, like everything is showing up. Your vote, the clothes you choose to wear, whether your background is distracting or whether your background is calm and brings people toward you. So I related to life differently and recognized that first there's acceptance.
how you change, how you start to interpret the reality different. It was a part of your childhood where you have this, that you're feeling very uncomfortable, you're feeling shy, you're feeling that people were looking at you like you're not enough and everybody's giving it, and then how you took that decision, at what age, and what happened. You read a book, somebody helped you, a family friend told you something, how you decided to change internally how people perceive you and to start to show up powerfully, because this is what you did. Because without, it's not even a problem. It's a problem that maybe you make in your mindset that it was bigger than what actually was. But then you have to shift. You have to show up in a different way. So what happened? You took a book? You saw a TV show? What happened?
Oh my word. Okay. This is terrific. So because we're in 3 roles, there's a skill for each role. Grounding in yourself. That's what I did. Readiness for my situations. That's what I did. And connected with intent to serve in my societal role. Okay? Self-grounded, situationally ready, societally connected with intent to serve. I actually use the word all-telligent, but we can, park that. So when you're grounded in yourself, what that really means is that you understand who you are and why. I started to stutter because I needed, at the time, I needed more attention from my parents. I was 6 years old. New school, new friends, new house, had lost and left my friends. Like my whole world got blown up. And as I evolved, that newness became familiarity, and my ability to sit down with my parents and say, sit, let's be, it was different words at the time. So the need to kind of call for help matured into, I have what I need and I am what I need. So that's from grounding in myself. And that's described in the book. There's a chapter on that, and it goes really deep. It goes into trauma. It goes into journaling. It goes into reflecting. It goes into really being with and for yourself. There's a lexicon of showing up. We're often to each other, Harry, but really when you show up, truly, you are with and you are for. So that's the first thing I did. When it came to my situational role, what does it mean to be ready? You said that we unconsciously behave. There's a pattern and it just shows up to us. It's sure not with us and it's sure not for us. It's to. So when you're truly ready for your situational role, because you understand that a situation, Harry, it's alive. It's a reverberative process with you hearing me and responding to me in your body, not just here. Most of life is in the rest of our sensing system. You sense me right through your skin, right through your skull, and I'm responding to you. And when we realize the reality of this, right, that whether I see you as a friend, someone I want to get to know, someone I care about, or a podcast host who's going to right? It's like, no, I'm going to shovel that one out. You're a human being, Harry. I care about you, and it's changing how I show up. I'm not performing on your podcast.
Thank you. That's very powerful.
Thank you. I am being with you and for the hopefully 100,000 plus people who were there hoping to benefit from everything that you and your work and hopefully I have to offer. So this is the power of understanding our situational role. And as I came to understand what truly showing up is, I came to live more fully in my situational role. I'd like to address what you brought up before about presenting, because a presenter, like a speaker, I'm a speaker, right? I've done 2 TED Talks. People ask me to speak. There is no benefit for you if I'm kind of up on a stage and you're here and I'm way over here and I'm speaking at you. The power of someone who's truly a speaker to move and to motivate another human being.
100%, and be present.
Right. The power is in the conversation. Con means with, verse, to communicate. It's in being with. And when you truly show up, you're also being for. It's that care. If I were to take all of truly showing up and distill it into a single word, care. Human beings are wired to care for each other and to have an instinct from 100 feet away. Is that, picture back, when we lived in tribes, that person way over there who I see, that stranger, friend or foe, right here. I will have an instinct, as will you, friend or foe. And that's the mechanism that leads to care, is we can sense each other. When we truly show up, that's what's going on. And that clerk at the store who's helping you to check out will not show up as a clerk. That person will show up as a human being. And you'll linger for just a moment looking in their eyes, and they'll feel cared for, and they'll remember you. And this is when you're truly showing up. And this is when you're going to lay in bed at night. And instead of just going, ugh, my day's over, thank goodness, I'm exhausted. This is when you'll lay in bed and you'll feel this was a meaningful day.
Yeah. And again, I want to enhance something that you said that is really powerful, right? Rather than a performance, to be present. Yeah. And on a stage, it happens sometimes.
It's not a performance.
A lot. Yeah. And never put on the way what you want to say against what the audience wants to hear. And I think this is a common problem that I see around the world. It doesn't matter every country we travel, that the speakers more and more are preparing this presentation and preparing this performance,
right,
and training on this performance and putting time and effort in this performance. Now they go in front of an audience and they deliver that performance, and without knowing if this is what the audience want to hear in the first place. So there are presentations in Dubai, presentation that I had done that I have started, and I couldn't use the PowerPoint at all. Even the promoter come on to me and asked me, Harry, what happened? You didn't use the PowerPoint? And I said, no, I didn't need it. But the real truth is that what I saw that this audience wanted, or what I prepared, or what was my understanding, it was totally different when I arrived and asking few questions and talking to them. I'm realizing that they're in a different stage. I realized that they are ready for something more deep than what actually I prepared, and this is what they want to hear. Why I should I had to be able to be present to realize that, and to give the audience really what they really want to hear, and really something of value that they can learn. But for that, you have to be present and to surrender your perfectionist, and this is what I train for. This is what I'm gonna deliver, and actually kind of moderate and facilitate the creative framework where they are part of your talk. I think this is beautiful. I do with my girlfriend Lily. We call it team teaching, where even both of us sometimes on the stage, we interact with each other, adding things depend on the topic, and the audience love it, and they also participate as well. But you have to be very confident who you are and why you're showing up for, yeah, and what is really your role as a speaker. And we do find a lot of challenges. So what message do you have for the speakers out there that they put all the time on the preparation? All they know is that they have 90 minutes, 60 minutes to speak, and they are going again and again on the slides of the PowerPoint, and this is how I'm gonna teach, and this is how I'm gonna do this act and this perform, and I'm gonna dress like this, and they showing up and boom, 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 and finish. Do you have any message for those speakers?
I absolutely do. Because what you just described, Harry, is a horror story. Speaking is even the wrong way to think about it. And it's an unhelpful way to think about it. And you also mentioned confidence in yourself. Let me explain. There are many versions of self. I'm going to make it simple. There's a small s version of self, which is it's all about me. And I have slides, and I am going to get up and speak to you. And it's a one-way thing. And I have to achieve some kind of value for you. Okay, let's blow that up.
Yeah. And it's all about you. It's all about everybody clap at you. It's all about you at the start. It's all about people showing up like this. And, so they don't even care that the audience is there. They just want the clap, the lights.
It's awful. It's the wrong metric.
When you surrender that, and you be present for the people, wow.
So I want to take your word presence much further, okay? Because I'm going to talk about what the other option is, not the small s for self, the large S. The large S for self is when you recognize that like a tree, right? Let's say a tree is yourself. There's a tree right outside my window, but it's not just hovering there. It's in the ground. It is connected. And within the ground, there are roots. And what we're discovering now is that every tree on the planet actually is connected within its roots down there. We're the same way, right? If you picture the globe, there are masses of land, and we say that there's continents that are there, and they're distinct and discrete. But you drain the ocean, and you notice no, they're all connected to a core of the earth. So that's what we are. And there's also air around the tree, and the tree is giving the air oxygen, and the atmosphere is creating CO2 for the tree. So there's this endless flow of everything being connected. So there isn't a speaker on the stage and an audience there, and this need to kind of throw stuff out there. We exist in a situational role that is alive, and within a societal role where we're impacting everything at every moment. So what's really going on is there's this reverberative dialogue. And the number one thing that you can do as a speaker, or just as a human being, to impact others in the way that you want, to leave the legacy that you want, to lay in bed and think, wow, this was a good day. I was who I wanted to be. Number one thing that you can do is recognize you're human to human. And you care, and you're with each other, impacting each other at every moment. The moment you care, you're going to look at the audience, and you're going to see someone right there, and you're going to notice something about them. And Harry, what I find myself doing is I ask a question. I say, I just saw you nod. Would you mind telling us, what is it that resonated with you? Oh, it was that we aren't just an island, right? Right. And then examples come up, and then people share, and then everyone's with you, and they're going to remember that. So I started out as the presenter that you're discussing, and I started having to manage when my throat would lock and when I would notice my gut kind of, tense. And then I matured as a speaker. And I noticed we're human beings here together for a common purpose on the planet, So I want to talk about the Show Up Continuum, because what's built into it is acceptance that everyone in every moment is in some version of showing up. They might be barely there, thinking about there's a sick child at home and they really can't focus on work and whatever it is, or they're coming and going, just showing up. I've got to get it done. I'm getting this done. I'm noticing nothing around me because I'm in this just get it done mode. And then at some point you pause, and all of a sudden what was there all along, you notice, oh, wow, there's some really warm sunshine coming through that window. Wow, my colleague over there is having a rough day. My spouse was mentioning that they're kind of stressed about something. I'm going to send them a little message. And your self lens, that small s self lens, starts to do this and turn outward. And your care system starts to show up. This is the right hemisphere coming online. Your whole mode of attending to the world, your system of how you attend, has now shifted to the one that let us survive. As it turns out, Harry, we had to do two things to survive. We had to be able to feed ourselves, which is this grab and get, control over mode, which is in our left hemisphere. And we had to not be eaten by something else. And what does that mean? Wow, we have to surveil broad range attention versus spotlight. If you live in spotlight attention, everything is a little part of something else. Nothing's whole. So all it's doing is representing the past to us. There's Harry on the stage. There's Harry on the screen there. He's just a screen. I'm talking to a face that doesn't matter. He's not a human. I'm in a mechanism mode where I'm just presenting my spiel and that's it. That's what just showing up level 2 truly is. And my research shows 80% of us are doing that, are living in that superficial, get it done, non-meaningful, unfulfilling mode 80% of the time. But then there's part of the day, Harry, when we reset, and this is an embodied reality. You breathe in, you reset. Maybe it's during lunchtime, maybe it's between meetings, maybe it's just when you just take a break. And all of a sudden you start to notice the rest of life. And guess what happens? This is when we perceive the other 357 degrees of what's going on, because the left hemisphere, get it done, that just show up mode, sees 3% of what's going on versus the the rest of the 360 degree real world. So when we pause, this is when a new idea comes in. You notice something, a new connection is made. This is called creativity. This is called innovation. This is called caring for someone else. One of the questions that I ask in the surveys that I send out, so I've got this whole evergreen set of surveys that I do. I started them in 2016, but my original research goes back to 1999. Anyway, one of the questions that I ask is, how often do you ask yourself, how do I want someone to feel in my presence? Right? So I'm going to go out and do a bunch of things. I'm going to go to a meeting. I'm going to meet someone. Harry, how do I want you to feel in my presence, right? How often do we ask that? What do you think? Like, what did people respond to that question?
I think, at the end of the day, these are the people. I always say in the conference that people maybe they don't even remember. They're not gonna remember what you say, but they definitely gonna remember how you make them feel.
Right. That's my.
So Marcy, so can you tell us if people are in love with our conversation, how they can find more information of you, how they can buy your book, how the process works? Can you share briefly?
Yes. And I'll also just answer, it was fewer than 1 out of 3 people think about how they want others to feel in their presence. That is just showing up or being barely there. That it's not truly showing up. Anyway, so yes, people remember how you make them feel. My book is on Amazon. It's right now #1 bestseller, which is pretty darn cool, especially considering I've done no marketing, just podcasts. So that's pretty cool. My website, choosetoshow.up.com. And I love hearing from people. So reach out to me and tell me who you are and how I can help. And I would absolutely love to work with people and help them live the life they want to live. And, you know, when more humans truly show up, we literally will change our systems for social justice and our culture. And we'll have less violence and less mental illness. And it will really, really change the world. So please do reach out. We are one team. Harry, thank you so much for finding my work worthy of being part of your podcast and your world.
Pleasure. Thank you so much. And for all of you following in our social media or listening in YouTube and Spotify, see you in Spotify and Apple. See you in our next episode of Entrepreneurs Unleashed, how brave entrepreneurs like Marcy are running businesses to make the world a better place. Bye for now.
Follow us for more on charismatic speaking, leadership, exponential business growth, branding, marketing, strategies designed to help you monetize your knowledge, find true happiness, and manifest your goals and dreams.